Elektra. Few battles in Marvel history hit as hard as the clash between Bullseye and Elektra, a ruthless duel between two assassins, each aiming to prove they're the deadliest in the game. Elektra, once the greatest assassin in the world and Daredevil's former lover, faced off against Bullseye, a killer just as skilled but far more ruthless. The stakes couldn't have been higher. The winner would claim the title of the Kingpin's top assassin, and the loser, let's say there was no second place in this fight. Moreover, their brutal confrontation occurs in Daredevil issue number 181, written and drawn by the legendary Frank Miller. The fight is tense and evenly matched, but Bullseye turns the tide when he snatches one of Elektra's saves. In a moment that stunned readers, he drove the blade into her chest. Even then, Elektra refuses to go down easily. Fatally wounded, she drags herself to Matt Murdock's apartment, Daredevil's true identity, only to die in his arms. For Matt, it was a devastating blow, leaving him haunted by grief and guilt. Elektra's death became one of the most defining moments in Daredevil's story, so impactful that it echoed across Marvel Comics for years. Of course, this being comics, Elektra eventually came back, but nothing could erase the pain and the heartbreak of that first shocking loss. It was a grim reminder of the harsh realities Daredevil faces, where even the strongest don't always survive. Gwen Stacy. The tragic death of Gwen Stacy stands as a turning point in Marvel Comics, leaving a lasting impact on Spider-Man's life and reshaping his journey forever. Gwen was Peter Parker's first true love, and her tragic end in The Amazing Spider-Man number 121, written by Jerry Conway, marked a turning point for Peter and for superhero comics. It all started when the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, decided to destroy Spider-Man once and for all. After blaming Peter for his son Harry's troubles, Norman snaps, becoming the Goblin again. He kidnaps Gwen and lures Spider-Man to the George Washington Bridge. The stakes couldn't be higher as the Goblin holds an unconscious Gwen over the edge. Spider-Man fights with everything he's got, but just as he seems to gain the upper hand, the Goblin throws Gwen off the bridge. Desperate to save her, Spider-Man shoots a web line and catches her just in time, or so he thinks. As he pulls her back up, there's a terrible snap. Peter realizes she's gone. Her neck broke either from the fall or the sudden stop of his webbing. The guilt is unbearable. Did he save her only to kill her accidentally? He blames himself, no matter the truth. Enraged and heartbroken, Spider-Man tracks the Goblin to a warehouse. Peter's fury is unmatched, and he nearly kills Norman in the fight. But when he hesitates, the Goblin tries to strike from behind with his glider. Peter's quick reflexes save him, and the glider impales Norman instead. Left grieving, Peter returns home, consumed by loss. But when Mary Jane shows unexpected compassion, it's a quiet moment of connection, a glimmer of hope in his darkest hour. Gwen's death wasn't just Peter's tragedy, it changed how we saw superheroes forever. Ma Gnucci. If there's one thing you should know about the Punisher, it's this: never mess with him. Frank Castle is unrelenting, ruthless, and adept at taking down his enemies. One of his wildest showdowns happens in The Punisher #1, written by Garth Ennis, and penciled by Steve Dillon when Frank decides to take on the Gnucci crime family, led by the fearsome Ma Gnucci. It starts with Frank's explosive return to New York City's underworld. To send a clear message, he kicks things off by throwing one of Ma's sons off the Empire State Building. From there, he launches into his usual one-person war, systematically wiping out most of Ma's children. But Frank doesn't stop there. He lures the family to the Central Park Zoo, where things get crazier. In a brutal twist, Ma ends up in the polar bear enclosure. She loses her scalp and limbs to the bears, but somehow survives. That's right, no arms, no legs, but still alive. Frank isn't about to let her off the hook. He heads to Ma's mansion, setting it ablaze to finish the job. Ma tries to escape through a window as the flames engulf the building, but Frank, he's not letting her get away. In a moment of dark finality, he kicks her back into the fire, ending her reign for good. It's one of the Punisher's most insane takedowns and a brutal reminder of why he's not the guy you want to cross. Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister's death is one of the weirdest and most humiliating moments in comics. Sinister, a master manipulator and almost impossible to kill, found himself in a situation that no one saw coming. After the chaos of M-Day, when most mutants lost their powers, a child named Hope was born, believed to be the future of the mutant race. Sinister tried to kidnap her, but failed miserably, setting off a chain chain of events that led to his downfall. Not only this, frustrated by his failure, Sinister had a tense encounter with his second-in-command, Mystique. Rogue, unconscious and dying, lay nearby, unable to control her life-draining powers. When Sinister admitted he couldn't save Rogue, Mystique snapped. In a fit of rage, she shoved his face onto Rogue's body. That was all it took. Rogue's powers kicked in, and Sinister, unable to escape, had the life sucked out of him. For someone as calculated as Sinister, dying this way, essentially tripping into his doom, was both absurd and brutal. But that wasn't the end. Sinister, being the schemer he is, faked his death. Months later, he resurfaced, aligning himself with Senator Shafran in an elaborate plot against X-Factor. Posing as allies, Sinister's real agenda was to protect Havoc, X-Factor's leader. The plan backfired when Shafran tried to turn on Sinister, only to kill himself accidentally. Even in death and deception, Sinister's schemes are as messy as they are memorable, making his death one of the strangest in comics. Miss Arrow. Miss Arrow's story is bizarre from the start, but her death takes the weirdness to a new level. Originally, Miss Arrow wasn't even human. During the other storyline, Spider-Man dies in a fight with Morlun, but it turns out his death was just part of a strange transformation. His body shed like old skin, allowing him to be reborn in a cocoon under the Brooklyn Bridge. While his skin was stashed at Stark Tower, a swarm of pirate spiders devoured it and reassembled themselves into a human form, calling themselves Miss Arrow or Arrow, and claiming to be Spider-Man's other. Fast forward to her twisted plan. Arrow kidnaps Flash Thompson, intending to plant an egg sac inside him. The eggs would hatch thousands of her spider children, but Flash wouldn't survive. Naturally, Spider-Man shows up to save the day. Realizing her plan with Flash is doomed, Arrow shifts her attention to Spider-Man, planning to use him instead. Before she can pull it off, Betty Brant arrives and blasts the egg sac with a shotgun, destroying the eggs. Arrow, now in full retreat, flees into an aviary. Here's where things take a truly brutal turn. Birds swarm her, tearing apart her body, revealing it to be a mass of spiders. Only one spider manages to escape, but Spider-Man quickly ends its escape with a stomp. It's a fittingly grotesque end for one of the strangest foes Spidey has ever faced. Logan. When the Punisher and Wolverine cross paths, it's a clash of unstoppable forces that's equal parts vicious and utterly wild. In Punisher number 17, 2002, written by Garth Ennis, these two anti-heroes are supposed to team up against some small-time mafia thugs. Instead, Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, decides Wolverine is more of an obstacle than an ally. What happens next is both horrifying and darkly comical. First, Castle aims and shoots Wolverine in the groin. Then he blasts Wolverine's face off, but he doesn't stop there. Frank gets behind the steamroller wheel and flattens Logan like a pancake. Yes, this happened. Of course, Wolverine didn't die, thanks to his mutant healing factor, but Castle wasn't trying to kill him anyway. He just wanted Wolverine out of his way so he could work alone. Once Logan is incapacitated, Frank walks into another room and casually slaughters a group of mafia goons. The whole encounter is pure Garth Ennis. Known for his disdain for traditional superheroes, Ennis often leans into the absurd and the violent in his stories. This issue is no exception, and if you think this was wild, remember, Ennis also wrote Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe, where Castle takes out every hero and villain in an alternate reality. Flattening Wolverine with a steamroller might not technically be a death, but it's easily one of the most brutal and ridiculous beatdowns in comics history. Ares, the Greek god of war, is a name you probably recognize from mythology. In Marvel Comics, he's the son of Zeus, a frenemy to Thor and Hercules, and even for a time, a member of Tony Stark's Avengers. But things turned dark when he joined Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers, a decision that led to one of the most gruesome deaths in Marvel history. During the siege event, Osborn launched an attack on Asgard. Ares, who was fiercely against the plan, tried to stop him. At first, Osborn tricked Ares into fighting Asgard's defenders like Hogun and Fandral. But once Ares realized he'd been duped, he turned on Osborn. That's when Osborn called in the Sentry. Now, Ares is no lightweight. He's been the god of war for thousands of years, but against the Sentry, who supposedly has the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, Ares didn't stand a chance. In one of the most shocking moments in the story, the Sentry grabbed Ares and, without hesitation, ripped him clean in half. This brutal act cemented Siege as a chilling reminder of just how terrifying the Sentry can be, and why even gods are not safe in Marvel's darkest battles. Hulk. In the alternate dystopian future of Old Man Logan, Wolverine has left behind his violent ways. Living quietly as a farmer in the Hulk's territory, Logan swears never to pop his claws again. But this peace is shattered when the Hulk's inbred offspring, yes, they're the result of Hulk and She-Hulk's disturbing union, brutally murder Logan's family while he's away. Devastated and furious, Logan snaps. Breaking his vow, he embarks on a rampage, slaughtering every Hulk relative he can find. When he finally reaches Bruce Banner, Logan discovers the Hulk isn't the hero he once knew. Instead, Banner has transformed into a massive, grotesque beast, both physically and morally corrupted. Beyond this, knowing the Hulk's strength, Logan devises a risky plan. He allows the Hulk to devour him whole, seemingly ending the fight. But the Hulk forgets Wolverine's unkillable healing factor. Inside the Hulk's stomach, Logan regenerates and then tears his way out, killing the Hulk from within. In the end, this gruesome death was the climax of Logan's revenge and a chilling reminder of the savagery lurking beneath Marvel's iconic heroes. It's a jaw-dropping moment that left fans horrified and in awe of Wolverine's unrelenting resolve. Wasp, Marvel's Ultimatum series, pushed boundaries with its shocking and graphic moments, but one particular death left readers completely unsettled. The Blob, a longtime mutant villain, has always been known as a bully and a glutton, but he is far more horrifying in this alternate universe. Furthermore, in Ultimatum, Magneto's global attack sets off chaos everywhere, and it's during this madness that the Blob crosses a line no one expected. Known for his insatiable appetite, this version of the Blob took things to a new level. When Tony Stark arrives at the Triskelion searching for the Wasp, he doesn't find her alive. Instead, he's greeted by the horrifying sight of Blob snacking on her corpse. Yes, Blob had turned to cannibalism, and the image was enough to leave even Earth's mightiest heroes shaken. The scene wasn't just shocking for readers, it pushed her ex-husband, Hank Pym, to his breaking point. Overwhelmed with grief and fury, Pym reacts in a way that would change everything. While Ultimatum was a controversial event with mixed reviews, moments like this cemented its reputation for taking brutality to unsettling extremes. It's a death that still haunts Marvel fans to this day. Blob. When Hank Pym, also known as Giant Man, finds the Blob eating his ex-wife's body, his reaction is raw and shocking. This was already a tense situation, considering the Blob had just brutally murdered the Wasp and was caught in the act. But what happens next is a moment of pure, unrestrained rage. Pym uses his size-changing powers to grow huge, picks up the Blob, and then, without hesitation, bites his head off. Yes, you read that right. He rips the Blob's head off in one violent move, but this isn't just a mindless act of violence. Pym spits out the Blob's severed head onto the floor, leaving everyone in the room stunned and horrified. His teammates are left speechless, and it's hard not to feel the weight of the gruesome action. This brutal shock defines Ultimatum, where the stakes are high and no character is safe. The death of the Blob and the Wasp are among the most talked about moments in the series, and it's easy to see why. The violence is shocking, and the emotions are raw, making it one of the most disturbing moments in Marvel Comics. The Punisher. The Punisher has always been a one-person army against crime, but things go wrong when Norman Osborn's forces, led by his son Daken, are after him. After weeks of fighting, Frank Castle is exhausted. His wounds aren't healing and he's barely hanging on. He's just a regular guy with no superpowers after all. But Daken, Wolverine's deadly son, is no ordinary enemy. Well, Daken tracks Castle down to a rooftop for a final battle. Frank is hurt, standing on a broken leg, with stab wounds all over his body. Despite the odds, he keeps fighting, stabbing at Daken over and over, but Daken is far too strong, too ruthless. He's done playing games. In a moment of brutal speed and power, he slices into Frank, dismembering him completely. Frank, who's given everything in his war on crime, is tossed off the rooftop in pieces. This moment is one of the most chilling deaths in comics, not just because of the gruesome way it happens, but because of who Daken is, someone who feels no mercy. The Punisher, usually the one dishing out the violence, meets a horrifying end at the hands of a true monster, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange had faced Dormammu many times before, but the battle took a deadly turn in the Ultimatum event. Strange had fought the Dark Dimension's ruler for years, but this time, Dormammu took things up a notch. Dormammu used Strange's magical cape to end his life in a twisted, unexpected move. The cape, which Doctor Strange often wears, is no ordinary piece of cloth. Dormammu took it and wrapped it tightly around Strange's Strange's neck, choking the life out of him. It wasn't just a painful death, it was shocking. The cape was twisted so tightly that Doctor Strange's head popped off like a balloon. It was a gruesome, graphic end for the Sorcerer Supreme, who had faced countless battles but never one quite like this. His longtime foe, Dormammu, had finally found a way to take him down, using the very item that Strange relied on for his magic. Anyhow, this brutal death reminds us that no matter how powerful you are, even the most unexpected things, like your own cape, can be turned against you. It's a moment that left fans shocked, questioning how even the mighty Doctor Strange could meet such a grim end. Spider-Man family. In the Marvel Zombies series, things turn dark and twisted when Peter Parker, also known as Spider-Man, becomes infected by a zombie plague. The series, which started as a fun what-if idea, quickly turns horrifying. Despite their powers, superheroes like Spider-Man are no match for the virus. After getting bitten, Spider-Man sets out to protect his beloved Aunt May and Mary Jane, but he does something far worse instead of saving them. Shockingly, when Peter finds them, something completely out of character happens. He eats them. The horror is mostly shown off panel, but the implication is clear. This is a Spider-Man who no longer fights for his family's safety. He's become a mindless, flesh-hungry monster. The idea that the hero known for his deep love for his family could do something like this is disturbing beyond words. Watching Spider-Man, a character built on love and responsibility, do the unthinkable is unsettling. It's one of those moments in comics that leaves a lasting, uncomfortable impression on fans. What if the hero we trust to protect the ones we love became the one to hurt them instead? That's the terrifying reality in this brutal, zombie-infested world. Herr Kleiser. In the Ultimates 2, the Hulk faces off against one of the most dangerous foes, Herr Kleiser. This villain has already taken down some of the biggest names in the Marvel Universe, like Captain America and Nick Fury. With his shape-shifting powers and ability to regenerate, Kleiser seems unstoppable, but the Avengers' solution, they send in the Hulk. On top of that, when Bruce Banner transforms into the Hulk, the fight gets brutal. Hulk smashes Kleiser into a bloody mess, but he doesn't stop there. He eats him. Yes, you read that right. Hulk devours the villain, but it doesn't end with just the eating. The Hulk then, well, he shits asterisk out the remains of Kleiser, leaving the Avengers to collect this mess and analyze it. It's strange, disturbing, and a bit gross, but it shows just how far the Hulk will go when unleashed. But that's not all. Captain America later finishes the job by cutting Kleiser in half, but the Hulk's rage really brings this fight to a brutal and grotesque end. The villains are defeated, but this isn't your typical superhero battle. It's one of the most disgusting and violent moments in Marvel Comics, showing how terrifying Hulk can be when pushed to his limits. The beheading of Mera. In the Flashpoint storyline, a single decision by Barry Allen sends ripples across the DC universe, creating a drastically altered timeline where nothing is as it should be. Bruce Wayne's death in Crime Alley leads to Thomas Wayne becoming Batman and Martha Wayne becoming the Joker. Aquaman and Wonder Woman are at war, and one of the most shocking moments in this twisted timeline involves Mera. The full story is heartbroken that her partner Aquaman is having an affair with Wonder Woman, and Mera decides to confront her rival. She doesn't go down without a fight, but Wonder Woman is far too powerful. In a shocking and brutal moment, Wonder Woman decapitates Mera, but it doesn't end there. Wonder Woman takes Mera's royal headgear and wears it as part of her armor. To make the insult complete, she sends Mera's headless body back to Aquaman, adding another layer of cruelty to the already devastating war. This isn't just about a brutal death, it's about how it changes the course of the war and the characters involved. Mera's death and Wonder Woman's handling of it show just how dark this new reality can get. Did we miss any of your most unforgettable Marvel deaths? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.